Shalom, Chabarim, shalom. This is Yadin right here. Just a short vid right here. I keep hearing it. I just heard recently Bishop, Bishop Nathaniel of IUIC, yeah, IUIC, MICKEYMOUSC. Anyway, I heard Bishop Nathaniel. He said recently on an interview he'd love to Brother Dalton, you know what I mean, from Negroes to Hebrews. But I heard him say that, he said Hebrew, right? He said Eber, right? Hebrews from Eber. Hebrew, Hebrew, to be a Hebrew like Abram ha-Ibri, or in the translation KJV, Abram the Hebrew. So this has been a line repeated oft. It's an oft-repeated line that Hebrew comes from the man, the patriarch Eber or Iber, right? Pronounced as Eber. So they tell you Hebrew. Now, if you look at it in English, it does seem a little bit so, but that's not true. It's like there's another popular rumor, right? Biblical rumor and kind of a make-believe. They say, well, Abram or Abram, right, was called the Hebrew in the Bible. So this is like extra biblical, but if you heard the whole Hebrew comes from Eber, in other words, the reason why they're Hebrews, they'll say, is because they're descendants of Eber. No, that's false. It's like the other falsity that Abram was called Hebrew because, you see, Hebrew means to cross over, right? Hebrew means to cross over. Therefore, when Abram, the biblical Abraham, when he was called out, lek lecha, go for thyself in the Hebrew, Torah portion right there, when he was called out of Ur of the Chaldees, or of the Kasdim, when he was called out by Yahweh, that the Phoenicians, some say the Philistines, but really, others say it was the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians? That's a pseudonym right there. No such people, really. This was something that the Greeks made up. But they said that when the Phoenicians saw Abram, a.k.a. Abraham, crossing the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley, coming out of Ur of the Chaldees, when Yahweh had called him out, they saw him cross the river, and they said, Abram ha-Ibri, Abram ha-Ibri, Abram ha-Ibri. Abram, actually. His name was changed later on, Abram the Hebrew. So you mean because he was crossing a river, they called him Hebrew? Is that true? Well, let's go over here, right here. So, for Hebrew, here we go right here. Hebrew, basic meaning, Hebrew means to cross over. Hebrew means to cross over. So, what is it that they say? They say that Hebrew comes from Eber. Hebrew comes from Eber. No. Eber or Iber actually comes from Hebrew. Iber, it's a name that comes from the Ivrit, the Hebrew language. What does it mean? It means to cross over. Ani, Ivri. Ivri, Ani. I am a Hebrew. I am a crosser over, right? So Avram, he crossed over from the man-made traditions, from the idolatry, the man-made ideologies, and he crossed over into the truth of Yahweh Eloheinu, of the blameless creator, of the true creator. He crossed over, right, from the heathenism, some say the paganism of Ur, the Kasdim, and all the idolatries of the people, his kindred, even his father, to the way, the truth, and the life of Yahweh, into the true way, into the true spirituality, from the no gods and the false gods to the true God. So he crossed over. It's like being in the world, not of the world. So right here, this is what Hebrew means. Hebrew means to cross over. So don't believe the lie when they say that, well, Hebrew comes from Eber. Actually, Eber comes from Hebrew. It's a language. It's a linguistic. Here's what they also do right here. Let's see if we can bring this up right here. Okay, here we go. Let's zoom in right here for a moment. You see right there? We have Eber or Iber, and here, quote, Hebrew, end quote, from Eber, right? Eber. This is the popular belief, right? The make-believe Now, if you look into the Bible, you'll see a genealogy, right? You see Abram right there. Now, Abram is the first one in the biblical scriptural record to be called Ha-Ibri. The Ibri, the Hebrew. Now, they'll say it's because he was a descendant of Eber, right? Now, they only play this game with those who don't know biblical Hebrew, right? So when we go into the biblical Hebrew, let's look at who is Eber Iber. Here we go right here. To Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet, the elder, even to him were children born. So here we have H5677, Iber, Ein Beit Resh, Iber, phonetics Iber. Now, they confuse Iber with Heber. You see Heber? It's not just Heber, just an H, it's Heber, right? Heber. Here, Iber was the son of Salah, great-grandson of Shem, father of Peleg and Joktan. There was also an Iber who's a Gadite chief, an Iber who's a Benjamite, another Benjamite named Iber, and a priest in the days of Joachim, the son of Yeshua. Interesting right there. It's a proper name, right? But you see, it's the same as and come from the root of Iber. Now, one is a name. The first thing I showed you was a name. Iber right here. It's the region beyond. Iber. Not a name? No, it's a part of the language. Most Hebrew names come from the Ivrit language. So it's foolish to say that a name, right, is the reason for the language. In fact, it's actually the language that helps to create the foundation for the names. That's why we say that Hebrew, right, doesn't come from Iber or Eber. Actually, Eber, Iber comes from Hebrew. Region beyond, region across, side, opposite side. Here we go right here, region across, opposite side. So it's like saying in Hebrew, well, where is he? He is Iber. He's like on the opposite side. He's over there. So Hebrew doesn't come from Iber. Actually, Eber comes from the language of Hebrew. Now, there's some more on this. We had actually recorded something a little bit earlier. Go into a little more details right here. Hebrew does not come from Eber. Actually, Iber or Eber comes from the language of Hebrew, Ivrit.